Welcome back to Dynasty Dads. We are doing a little bit of some stuff that's uh, one of the. So this segment we started doing I think it was this year or last year, but
We did some
Devil's
last year.
so it's Devil's Advocate, where basically we make a take for the other person where they have to defend that take no matter what it is, if they agree with it, if they don't, but they have to defend that take. We're talking some news, and then we'll talk about some guys that no one is talking about, some players that we feel are slept on in Dynasty. So this should be fun. Start off with some news. Brees Hall, 3 year, 45 mil, 29 mil guaranteed. Some people see this as good, some see it as bad because he's going to be a Jet for a while. But what was your take on it? I know you sent me a trade like right after it happened that involved like K9. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
I'm actually a little excited about it. I think the whole system, the whole coaching staff, they have a decent O line. They have skill positions. I think Gino's better than anything, but it's really the whole coaching staff and bringing a new rookie quarterback next year that get me excited. I think when they have a new coaching staff and all that next year, it gets me excited about Brees and his perspective. The other thing that's nice that people continue to forget is I'm going to go check right now, but I'm pretty sure Brees Hall is only 24 years old.
Yep, that's correct.
Like this 3 year deal means he's 27 at the end of it. So if he stays with the Jets the entire time with limited tread on his tires, hopefully, that means he's not old, but not young, like, prime career age running back where he can get another deal. And then he can go play with the team he wants. And so I feel either the Jets get better and he stays, or he has the opportunity to go somewhere else. So, in a bunch of ways, I'm excited about it. I'm encouraged about it. For him, he gets the guarantee. And for us, I actually think the situation's better than we think. Is it disappointing for this year? Yes. In the future, I think they have the weapons outside now. The O line's getting better. They'll continue to work with it. Next year, they get their starting rookie quarterback. It's looking up. This year, no, but everything else is looking up. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, there's two big things with backs. One is, a lot of their value is tied to their contract. Do they have a contract? And which means they have a job, and he's paid to be the guy. So he's going to be the guy for the next 3 years outside of injury. I do think he's got more miles on him than what people would like to think because of the knee injury. Was it 2-3 years ago now at this point, and the fact that he's kind of been the bell cow for him when he's been on the field, which hasn't been as much as everyone would like. But you know, there's always also these teams that come up from the bottom. Every year there's a team at the top that falls down, and there's teams at the bottom that go up. And with the way that the Jets are loaded for the next 2 years, with all the assets that they drafted this year, and then the picks that they have next year, they have a chance to turn things around. But it is the Jets, so are they going to turn over? You even said it that they're going to have a new staff next year, so you are anticipating that everyone's getting fired this year. So that doesn't bode well for the team this year. But there's a chance with Gino. I think Gino is someone that is better than what we remember from this past year, because it was the Raiders. It was a horrible, horrible offensive line. Gino needs time. And I think behind the Jets line, if they can stay healthy, then Gino will be better than what people are expecting. So I'm sad that Brees Hall, didn't go to the Chiefs, or didn't go to the Seahawks or something like that. So somewhere where we like the team, and he would have gotten a contract. But they are saying with their money that he's going to be a long-term piece for this offense. So
Yeah. No, I think it'll be interesting. He's still young. He's still got talent. Now he has it locked in. And like I said, they're up and coming. I think it's probably a good player if you are planning for the future, not trying to win this year. And you'll be fine this year, but especially if you're a 2027 and beyond, because I think his value is a little depressed. But a year from now, guys like Josh Jacobs will have a lot less value. What Brees might have tons still.
Yeah, and I think one of the trades that you sent me was Brees Hall and Josh Jacobs, and the age gap between that is more than enough of a tiebreaker. No matter how I feel about Josh Jacobs for this year, you're trading 4 years away. To have a slightly better season this year, and there's still a chance that Brees, you know, I would assume most people would have him like around the RB12 just for this season upcoming. I don't think he's got the top six, type of ceiling just because of the offense itself. Where Josh Jacobs could score, 15 touchdowns on the ground and be a top six guy with all the passing work.
Yeah.
And there's no one else there. But if you look 2 years from now, I would much rather have Brees Hall than Josh Jacobs. So you kind of want to look at it from that 2 to 3 year window. I would prefer Brees over Josh Jacobs just in a vacuum. But if I could trade away Brees Hall and get Jacobs and a first, sure,
Yeah,
I would do
of
that.
course, because you get a first. That's the dumbest thing. The question is, what would you add? Like, if let's say we were trying to make that deal and I added a 27 third, is that enough?
No, I would need a second. I like bare minimum. I need a second for 2027
Okay.
back with Jacobs, and I think that's fair. I would start with a first just because of the 4 year age gap. Like I'm getting another player to fill in that gap, and it's a dart throw with that pick because not every pick hits, but it's still the insulated value of that pick
What about a
that
28
adds the
second?
value. I mean, by then Josh Jacobs is probably going to be going down in value by quite a lot, just based off his contract and his age. Um,
But you got him. I think he
I
outcompetes this year. So if you're competing, you get him this year. Next year could be washed or close, and you get that second. Like that's why I'm asking.
I think that's fair still.
I
Yeah.
would consider that fair. A first, no way. I think it's dumb. I think people would stop talking to you. Um, but if a 28 second, I think is probably fair. So if we want to go back to that deal, I'll hit you up.
We'll see. All right. Some other guys that signed contracts. David Njoku going to the Chargers on a 1 year deal up to $8 million. Um, how much do you think this impacts Gadsden for this season?
I think it has to a good bit. It seems like they wanted him. The contract isn't extreme, but it's enough. I'm curious if this is more of a we want to play two tight end set or three tight end set. That is the new craze, it seems like, in the league, adding two or three tight ends so they can play kind of bully ball. But we also know Njoku can block a little bit, but it's not that impressive. Gadsden can't block at all. So is it kind of a two tight end set with two true receiving threat tight ends? I, I just think defenses adjusted to this. They play two high safeties a lot, but they're going to bring them into the box more and then just pretty much consider them big receivers, right? So I think that's how people are countering the two high safeties, but I don't know with true just receiver threat tight ends if it really matters. And so I think it definitely affects Gadsden's upside for this year. It might help his development for the long term, just because he gets to watch what a veteran tight end does and how he plays and how he practices, which he hasn't had. But for this year, I think people will be a little disappointed in Gadsden. And the real question is, with the O line getting better, with people about high about Marion Hampton, the defense is okay, not great, not horrible. Where does this team score? Is it through the air? Is it running the ball? Is it to the tight ends? Do they get Ladd more involved? Is QJ deep? Do they Trey Harris? Does he get more involved? You know what I'm saying? What I think sucks is it affects Gadsden, but I'm kind of curious if Trey Harris gets crushed, as in they play 12 personnel and now he's rarely on the field, you know?
Well, do you want Lad blocking or do you want Harris blocking?
Well, Harris blocking on run plays, but if I think Ladd will be in a lot more than we think, and they might just throw him out wide and him run a little go route to fake a route, right? So
Yeah, there were times this past year when I was watching games, and I'm pretty sure I said in the chat probably at least twice that when Trey Harris is in the game, it's a run play. And so, yeah, I think he's going to be on the field. I think it's going to be a solid rotation between Ladd, QJ, Trey Harris, and then the guy that they just drafted. I do think that they're going to have a pretty diverse offense. They're going to have heavy sets. They're going to have spread out sets. Someone just like this past year, someone was going to be left out every week. We talked about it over and over again every week. Who is the odd man out this week? But that was also when Keenan was there, which there's still a possibility that he shows up after camp, which would throw a wrench into everything again. So
I don't think Keenan
uh,
comes back. So I, I think they need to move forward without him in the offense to see what they have.
I hope so.
And so I think he's gone because otherwise it cripples everyone another year. And yeah. So this next topic you put in, I said we should remove, but I guess we'll just keep going with the coach narrative, and that's Travis Hunter will continue to play both sides of the ball. I don't
Yeah.
give a shit. So next.
He is too good to not play on both sides of the ball. The head coach has come out and said the plan has not changed. He will play both sides of the ball. So he is going to be involved on offense, whether you like it or not, whether you want to see more of it or less of it, or if you just want him to pick one or the other. It's going to be Parker. It's going to be Brian Thomas, Myers, and Hunter on the field at wide receiver. Probably not all at the same time, but they're still all four going to get reps at the position. So he's good. He's going to be involved. Would you pay more than a third for him?
No. I mean, I'm at the
Okay.
point like, well, I guess would I pay more than a third? Definitely not. Like I said 303 before, it's probably around the same. Just hoping next year he turns into the third option. One of the things that bothers me is the Jacksonville Jaguars did what some of these other teams did, and they took two tight ends early that are blocking tight ends, which means they're going to want them on the field. What happens to all four of these receivers that people kind of like?
It'll probably be a lot of what the Chargers had this past year, where, I mean, I'm a big fan of Jacoby Myers and his value for this year. I think he's someone that no one's talking about, that's not worth a whole lot, but I think he's going to be a solid wide receiver 3 or 4 for some teams. And with what he did this past year, and then the contract that he got, I think he's going to be pretty involved. Him, B, B, BTJ, and then Parker. It's just, where do you fit in a Hunter, and where does the team fit in a Hunter? Um, so, but that's a good offense, and an offense that we all want a piece of. One of your guys that we're talking about later is the QB for the Jags. So it's a good offense that we all want a piece of. I'm not selling for a third round pick. I'm probably not even selling for a single second. I just want to see what they do this past year, because he had some games last year where you're like, okay, I can see him being, someone that is heavily involved in this offense. And if that happens, then his value goes right back up. You could probably flip him for a couple seconds or even a first if he has a good stretch of games, because he was drafted to do both. So, but I know you don't care and you don't have any shares. I've got a couple. I'm holding for
I
more
I
than a
just took
third.
over an
So
orphan, and in my inbox came the 210 for him, and I now own the 210 draft pick.
that's disgusting. Okay.
Yep. I mean,
All
remember
right.
I said this a few episodes ago, actually, that to me, this is the year to unload him for whatever you can get. And if you want to buy back in before another time, I think you could probably give a late third or someone just being like, give me anything next year, going into next year.
If he does nothing this year, sure. But if he's still playing in the same role that he was this past year, you aren't going to get him back for a
If he's
third.
playing the
It's going to
same role,
cost
then
you.
why'd they sign Myers and why is Parker Washington ranked so highly? Like, if he's the same role, he's a wide receiver too. Like, Gus, there's no way he's going to be that same person. And he just tore his ACL. Like, that's part of it is people keep forgetting he's injured. Like, these are my problems with him. He's injured. He's playing both ways. He's trying to learn two positions in the NFL.
we'll see how it goes this year.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on because I know how much you like to talk about Travis Hunter, and you'll stay here all day on him. So,
Yeah.
all right, Jawan Jennings signed with the Vikings, 1 year up to $13 million. He's probably going to slot in to be the three for this team behind Jordan Addison and JJ. Do you believe he's above Hawkinson in the target share, market, or is he going to be the fourth for the team? But you know, this was probably not the ideal spot for him for fantasy because he's so buried now on that team, and you're betting on Kyler supporting 3 4 guys, which most people do not agree with. So
Yeah. I think, well, to me, it hurts him. It hurts Hawkinson a lot. Um, I'm, both those guys are almost like do not draft now. And I think it might hurt Addison a little bit just with targets, even though Addison usually goes deep. But it's just mainly the targets. I think this actually really helps Kyler. I think now he's got a lot of weapons with a coaching staff with talent, more talent than he had. And I mean, for Kyler, either put up or shut up. Either this is your year to show back up and say I'm good, or you're out the league. You're the next Justin Fields, right? And this is 1 year. And people laugh. And if he's matured at all, he'll actually show out. If he just loves playing Call of Duty and doesn't give a shit anymore, he's going to flame out. So I guess, like you said, Travis Hunter, we'll see with Kyler Murray here.
yeah. Last bit of news: Kyle Pitts did sign his tag, so he is going to play for the Falcons this year. Whether or not he gets a long-term deal before the season starts, I guess we'll see. But he's still someone that, when he was given the opportunity this past year, he had good weeks. Part of that was there was no other options in the offense. There was Drake London that was hurt, and that's when Pitts had the massive, week that got him as high as he did. But Pitts is still like 21 years old, so he's still a very young, athletic guy. Do you think he comes back after this year if he doesn't sign a long term deal, or would you like to see him go somewhere else? The problem is they really don't have a QB set up. Like, you have two, so you have zero.
Yeah, my guess is they pay him because right now, who else do they have to pay? They don't really have a
Drake
quarterback to
London
pay.
comes up next year, or this year. They could pay Drake London this year. They could pay Bijan next year. So there's some money to be spent on that offense.
But I'm just saying, you could pay these three guys and still be okay because you're not paying the quarterback. You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, the biggest difference
that's
between
fair.
them and the Bengals is the Bengals had to pay their QB. This team right now, are you paying either of these guys? Are you giving them 50 mil a year?
No,
Exactly.
but
So you could pay the guys,
combined, they're
you could front load some
correct.
contracts, have them for 4 years, and bring in a rookie in 2 years and see how they do.
Yeah.
So,
All right, let's get into some devil's advocate. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
um, I'll pitch one to you. So explain what
All
this
right.
is, Gus, quickly. Explain what this is so I'm on the same page and we're all on the same page.
So we each have 3 takes that we have for each other. And we have to defend those takes whether we agree with it or not. So this is basically, you can get each other in like a gotcha kind of deal where you already know that this person does not believe in this, but they have to defend it. Hence the name Devil's Advocate. All right.
Okay.
What do you got for me?
I have for you. Tell me why Emeka Ibuka is going to be a wide receiver outside the top 24.
Oh, so they do have a lot of weapons. They do have Ted Hurst, that they just drafted. They have Chris Godwin, Bucky, Kate Otten. So Baker could spread the ball out more than what we would like, or Baker could stay on the same path that he was this past year. where he didn't look good towards the back half. A lot of people do con- contribute that to both Emeka Ibuka and Baker being hurt. But there is a real chance that Emeka Ibuka is just not that guy. There's people on both sides, and I've seen people say about both sides. So that's why he's not going as highly as someone that had the start to the year that he had last year. And you could look at his first start to the year where he was just balling out, but he was scoring touchdowns pretty much every single week. Those touchdowns could go somewhere else. They could come down overall for the team. And him and Baker could just continue to not stay on the same page. And you're looking at someone that gets a bunch of targets, but he only catches like 40 something percent of them, just like he did this past year. I think he was in the 40s on his catch percentage, at least on the back half of the season. So that could continue. And if he has another season like that, he's definitely going to drop in value, just because two back-to-back seasons that didn't pan out the way that people expected. Even with the hot start to last year, he could still continue to fall in value.
Okay. One of the things, unless I missed it, I didn't hear, but I was hoping is I don't know if you saw when Jalen McMillan came back,
Oh yeah,
his
him
route
too.
running percentage went from above 60% to under 60% when McMillan came back. And now, of course, and that was even a couple times when Mike Evans was hurt. Now Mike Evans is gone. They brought in Hurst. They still got Godwin back, but that's something that worries me. Is he the guy that's getting taken off the field into wide receiver sets?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but that's one of the things that I'm worried about Ibuka about. The other thing that you could easily say is Baker just sucks again and gets hurt, either hurt or just sucks again, and that killed the offense.
Yeah, and Ted Hurst could come out and be the reincarnation of Mike Evans. So,
That's what they're saying or trying to say.
all right, so you're up. You've been pretty outspoken about Love over Genty. So tell me why you love Genty over Love.
I love Genty over Love because he has NFL experience. They're bringing in a new QB. They have Kubiak. Kubiak is the reason I love Genty. If it wasn't Kubiak, there's no way I'd be excited. I think we saw it with the Saints with their dog shit team a few years ago. They were able to score average like 45 points a game for the first 2 weeks before a couple O linemen got injured, etc. So I like Genty more than Love purely because of the new head coach, and I think they might do some RPO with the coordinator. The offensive line got a little better and healthy, and then they still have enough weapons to kind of make the defense at least respect the pass, at least the tight end position, and Trey Tucker deep. So for me, it's Genty over Love purely because the head coach and what he brings to this scheme.
Okay, and it's not that Love is just a terrible player and he's in a crowded backfield on a bad team.
No, no, it's definitely not that.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Yeah, and I think the scheme that the Raiders are going to have is going to fit Genty well. Having a good tight end, because we know that they used a bunch of tight ends this past year, and now they have two very good ones in Bowers and Meyer. So not Meyer, Mayer, sorry. So that offense I could see being better, and they did draft some offensive linemen. So I think Genty will definitely outscore Love this year. And after the season, I really do think Genty will be considered over Love. So
Well, yeah. Right now, it's
call your
mixed.
shot.
In startups right now, I feel I keep seeing a mix of both. I think it's all what you feel. The rookie hype is real, but I think it's a mix, especially when he went to the Cardinals. I think people soured on Love a little bit.
Yeah, that was not ideal. All right, you're back.
Yeah,
Let's
this
go.
is going to pull your heartstrings a little bit, but why
Mm.
is Matthew Golden not a top 50 receiver?
I mean, look, he didn't even score a fucking touchdown this past season in the regular season. He was outshined by Christian Watson, Dobbs, Wicks, fucking Reed when he was on the field. Kraft is clearly the one. And, Golden was drafted, in the first round, but he really got his rise through the playoff run when he was still in college. It wasn't like he was a highly touted player before that point. And if you look at him, you know, his overall production for a top five, not a top five, a a first round receiver for year one is horrible. It's up there with guys like Traylon Burks. It's up there with Corey Davis. Oh yeah, some of the highly drafted wide receivers in the first round that didn't perform their first year. Usually that is a big red flag. Golden could easily fall off the face of the earth after this season. He is still going to be behind Watson. He's still going to be behind Kraft. And then there's a good shot with Reed with his new contract. He's going to be a bigger focal point of the offense. So Golden could definitely fall to like the fourth target on that offense and pretty much stay irrelevant for fantasy.
Fair.
Don't believe any of that. Golden's going to be the
Don't believe it, but you understand how the process and how it could work.
Yep. I could see how it could go horribly wrong for him very quickly. But yeah, I guess we'll see. All right, yours. This one's going to be even more difficult for you for sure. Tell me how Travis Hunter is going to be a top 12 guy this year.
Oh, I mean, it's actually pretty easy. You got immediately Trevor Lawrence continues to be a star top 8 quarterback, right? Number 1. Number 2, BTJ, Parker Washington, and Jacoby Myers are out for the year after week 1. So then he's the only option. He stops playing cornerback, and they use his athleticism to move around, catch a lot of passes, and be an athlete. I mean, that's pretty easy. There's no other way it happens. So this one is all injuries because they liked what they had in Myers and Parker Washington. If they didn't like it and they didn't give the contract, I could see it a lot easier. The problem is they did, which means they already have the players to play receiver that played with Trevor Lawrence last year, that now he got hurt. He didn't get the reps with Trevor Lawrence when it mattered. So that's exactly how he becomes a top 10 wide receiver.
All right. Go ahead.
All right. I took the easy
one?
way out, which I appreciate you letting me have because it's the only way it's going to happen. Here's the double advocates for you, which has happened before. So you can't just say a lot of injuries, etc. But how is Pat Mahomes a QB1?
They signed Keenan Allen. They bring in Deebo Samuel. He is ready to go for week 1. Their defense is worse without Trent McDuffie. That they have to, that defense just falls apart. Chris Jones is out for the year. And Mahomes has to put the team on his back. K9 with his history of injuries gets hurt week 1. They have no other backs besides the best back in this draft and Emmett Johnson. And he's just a PPR machine for him. So Mahomes has to throw 350 yards and four touchdowns every single game to win. They go undefeated and win another Super Bowl. That's how it happens.
Okay. Makes sense. I can see it.
But it's not going to happen. So anyways. All right. I got one more for you. Shedeur Sanders makes his second straight Pro Bowl.
Oh, that one's easy because I actually like Shedeur. He shows that he's accurate, which he showed in college and he showed all the way through. The O-line actually comes together and somehow Fannin catches 100 balls. The team starts to win games because the defense is so good and Shedeur doesn't turn it over, which the accuracy helps. And then, as you see, the rookies, especially Casey Concepcion, is able to get deep and catch a few balls. So the young rookies actually immediately produce. The O-line gels. And Shedeur's the accurate quarterback that everyone knew with limitations.
But what if he's not the starter, though?
Well, you asked if he was.
Yeah. I mean, I was just a part of a league that did a dispersal draft. They went from a 14 to a 12, and I took over one of the teams that was going to be in that dispersal. And I think I took Sanders as like my QB4. So I have, I think Love, Lawrence, Dak, and then he's like my QB4. So
Okay.
it could happen. He could be the guy long term. I think that defense is too good, and they lost too many one score games last year to be bad enough to be in the range to get a top QB. They could still take a QB in the first, but it won't be a top 5 guy. It won't be a top 10 guy. I really do think they win, eight, 9 games this year. So, all right. I think that's it for that. Do you want to get into why no one is talking about these players?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'll go first with QBs. Um, I'll I'll do my 3, and then you can do your 3 at QBs, and then we'll just go back and forth. I'm gonna go Geno Smith. And we've talked about him. I mean, at least here we have talked about him, good and bad, on multiple episodes. But I haven't seen anyone else outside of me and you talk much about Geno. Everyone still has that bad taste in their mouth from last year. But like we talked about, at the start of this episode, that offense, I think, is more put together for him than what he was put into this past year with the Raiders. We talked about the better offensive line, overall now better weapons in Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper, the tight end that they just drafted, Kenyon Sadiq. You got Brees Hall in the backfield. That offense can spread it around, and Geno, that's kind of how he can play. He can spread the ball around and support, hopefully, more than just one player on that offense. For people that took the 2 guys in the first round this year for our drafts for rookies, you're hoping that they are more involved than what the second and third option was for the Raiders this past year, because it was basically non-existent this past year outside of Bowers when he was on the field. But with Geno having some more time, I think his ceiling could be a mid to late QB2 this year in fantasy, if he can bump up his touchdowns. If he can throw 25 to 30 touchdowns, maybe 3,000 to 3,500 yards, I think he can be a back end QB2 for fantasy. And to get someone like that, who's probably going for like a 4th or 3rd right now, that's pretty valuable.
Yeah. You want me to talk quickly about Geno? I would love to, because as much as people hate the
Yeah, go ahead.
Jets, right? What's up? Yeah. As much as
Go ahead.
people hate the Jets, their offensive situation that I've looked into is quite similar to the Saints, which I think you hear on a lot of episodes, people hyping up. And the reason I bring that up is you can get close to comparing the two. Garrett Wilson compared to Chris Olave. Wouldn't you assume, Gus, they're very similar? Those 2 receivers, both good, prime, young guys, right?
I
You
mean, they
agree?
both went to the same school. They came out the same year. So,
Right.
yeah.
So there's a lot. So they both have a 1. The number 2 both got drafted as rookies this year. Whether you like Omar Cooper as much as Jordan Tyson can be debated, but both first round wide receivers, right? And then you have Juwan Johnson and you have Kenyon Sadiq that just came out. Athletically, Sadiq's better athlete. So let's consider the weapons at least close, if not, I would say I'm close. One of the amazing things that I have to bring up, of course, because I love talking about the offensive line, is they have a first round tackle they took in 24. They took a first round tackle last year. The first round tackle, Olu Fashanu, you might remember them talking, took him early. He's starting left tackle. Starting right tackle, Armand Membu last year, they took. Both those guys look pretty good. Guess what? The Saints had the exact same thing. They took a first round tackle in 24
Mhm.
and a first round tackle in 25. The center is a well known veteran for both teams. Josh Myers, I know you know well because he played for Green Bay, who is a good center all around, I would say, is a good player. And the Saints have one as well. And then they also are using 2 guards. The right guard, Joe Tipton, is better The left guard is a little questionable, but the Saints have a guard that's a little questionable. So now you just throw in Geno compared to Tyler Shuck. I couldn't tell you without anything who's better. The only difference between these two right now that I could think about that is a clear advantage is I like Kellen Moore. So the
Same.
coordinator and head coach, I think, is very good and got to see it. We got to see it last year where the Jets might not have it. So talent wise and position, you can easily compare and see how things can work out. Um, Otherwise, you can't. I mean, go to running back. Brees Hall compared to Alvin Kamara and Travis Etienne or Etienne, however you want to say it now. I think
A-Chan,
these
you son
offenses
of a
can be very
bitch.
similar if they get a good coordinator or have a coach that could use the positions well. So I'm with you on Geno,
Yeah.
and no one's talking about him, but I think he could do just fine. This team's way better than the
Yeah.
Raiders last year. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, if your QB2 is not someone that you are impressed with, or if you need a QB3, you could probably get Geno in a trade as a throw in, or just straight up as a third or fourth round pick for next year. So he's cheap now.
Yeah.
Next, I'll go to Cam Ward. He didn't have the best year for stats, just total counting stats. But if you look at some of the plays he made, they were incredible. His arm talent, I think, is I'm not going to say top of the league, but he's in the top half of the league when it comes to arm talent. Some of these throws that he was making this past year was insane. And you bring in Wandale, and then you draft Tate High. Like he now has good players to throw the ball to. If you liked DK or any of the other guys from this past year, sorry, but they're going to be pushed down to third, fourth, fifth options. Those two guys that they brought in this year, I feel, are really going to help Cam Ward. I would have liked to see him get love in the first round, but he was not available. Tate is I would have liked to see them go somewhere on the offensive side of the ball to help Cam Ward, and that's what they did. They went Tate. So with those two, I think he's going to easily be a QB2, probably mid to high QB2 this year, just because their defense isn't one of the top in the league, and they're going to have to pretty much pass the ball for most of the games. I think Cam Ward is someone that is going to put up probably 3,000 to 3,500, 25 to 30 touchdowns, and he may add some on the ground, but not a whole lot. Maybe 200 to 300 yards tops, and maybe a couple touchdowns on the ground. But he is someone that you could probably get for I don't want to say cheap, because it's still going to cost you probably a first for next year. At the bare minimum, people will probably want to hold. Just for that first. But if you can get someone that wants to get out for a first, I would definitely be sending a first for Cam Ward. I think he's about to take a step up this past year. The overall stats weren't there, but he really didn't have anyone to throw the ball to. You add two great pass catchers to this offense, and I think it really sets up Ward for a breakout season.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Ward. I think the offense is. We've talked about it last episode. Daboll is the difference to me, and so I'm excited about him coming in. He wanted Ward. The only question I have is last year I just checked. He rushed for 159 yards, so there isn't much rushing included. Is this offense good enough to throw enough touchdowns and enough yards for Ward to, be more than QB 12? And I don't know, but people aren't talking about him, and he's getting drafted as like QB 19. So hey, that's good enough for me. He's young. We know this is somewhat of a make or break year. He probably has another year, so he's got some longevity to his to his contract and to him playing. And this is an opportunity for him to improve.
Yeah. Currently, this is off of Keep Trade Cut. He's QB 16 behind Love, Mendoza, Purdy, Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence. Those guys. I mean, I would still take all those guys ahead of him, but like behind them, you have Dak, Shuck, Stroud, Darnold, Mayfield. So like it's a pretty clean break after Ward and Dak there, depending on how you feel about Shuck long term. The fact that him and Shuck are so close after one season, I think, is pretty crazy because no one wanted Shuck last year, and everyone was high on Cam Ward this past year. Cam Ward from this past year has risen in value since like the end of this past season, just because they added Wandale and Tate. But I haven't seen people move him much, and I haven't seen him be traded for because I think most people that have him, they're trying to hold to see what could happen this season, and probably they're asking for a first plus. But there may be some people that want to get out, which is fine.
You said
But
Dak's behind him. That's interesting because in all the startups I do, Dak goes in the third round, where
yeah,
Ward is like in the sixth. So that one's interesting.
yeah. All right, I'll go to my third QB. I'm gonna go Danny Dimes. He was someone. If you look at his stats from like the first was it 9, 10 weeks before he got hurt, he was absolutely balling. He on the ground, throwing the ball. He was someone that I'm pretty sure he was. I think it was like QB like 6 or 7 for a while, in fantasy until he got hurt. Go ahead.
I thought it was QB1.
Was he QB1?
There were
I mean, if you look at his stats, he was fucking balling
I,
out. And
I'm
right now,
maybe QB2. I don't remember. I thought he was one. Like if you look stats through week 4 or 5 or something like that, or 3, I thought he was one. I could be wrong, but
yeah,
I
and
thought it was not like 5, 6. I thought it was one.
he's currently all the way down at QB 26, behind Willis, behind Murray, behind Bryce Young, behind Goff, Baker. So he's way down there. And how big was his contract? Was it a 2 or 3 year deal, or was it just a 1 year deal? I can't.
I thought it was a
off the
one
top of
year,
my head.
35 mil, right? Was it like that?
Yeah, and so if he is anything close to what he was last year, this is a great QB two or three. I mean, he is being drafted as a QB3 right now in startups, and I think he's going to be easily be a QB2, could be a QB1, depending on how much of the year he plays.
Okay, so it's a 2-year, $88 million contract, 50
There
fully
you go. So
guaranteed. I, my only thing with Danny Dimes is last year, and we've always known it, his mobility helps him. And the idea he tore his Achilles, we saw how much Kirk Cousins looked like an old man and couldn't move. We saw Aaron Rodgers the next year couldn't move. And I know they were older,
because they were old, I'm about to say because they were old men.
but they weren't.
Uh,
I mean, they were older, but they weren't old men. And so, and Dimes was more mobile than them. So if he loses that, and I just don't see him as a pure pocket passer. And so my only issue with him, and right, no one's talking about him. My only issue with him, and it's why I keep passing on him, is if he's not mobile and struggles this year, and the Colts go, 4-13 or something because he can't put it together and isn't ready by week 1, do they rely on him or do they get a rookie with an early pick?
yeah, I could see both
Yeah.
things happening. He not being great. Well, they don't have their first for next year, so
Oh, that's absolutely
they
true. Good point. Right. They
yeah,
lost it because they traded to the
they
Jets. And if they go like that, the Jets have even more ammo to get a rookie stud. So, oof.
they could take 2 of them and just see
Jeez. And
which
then
one works.
Geno turns into starter in Indianapolis. Ding.
That would be. I mean, you can call that right now that Geno is a QB for the Colts next year, and I don't think many people would bat an eye at it. So, but with that perception of Danny Dimes, that's why he's so far down. But for when he is on the field and playing and healthy, he is a top QB for fantasy in this offense. It's just how much is he going to be able to run? And I don't think he had that many yards through the first 9 weeks of last year. Do you remember how many he had?
I do not, but they were winning
It
games.
wasn't that many.
They were the number 1 offense. You want me to look it
Yeah.
up or you want me to move along?
Uh, let me just real quick. Jones. So was his total yards rushing through those first looks like 13 games. 26, 2, 7, -1, 2, 27, 3, 4, 53, 16, 1, 4. So he wasn't running
But
that much. It
it's
was
it
just his
to me, it's not the
mobility.
running, it's the mobility in the pocket.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot less about him actually being a runner and more he was, rolling out and completing passes and throwing some guys deep, etcetera, to Alec Pierce, who had a great season. I don't know if the mobility's there. Less about running and more about mobility in the pocket and rolling out. So,
Hey, so that draft did start as soon as we started recording. I took Love first. I have the third, fourth, and fifth pick, and Mendoza went second. Do I just take the top three receivers? I only have one back now. That is Love. So this was like a full tear down rebuild, but I still have good pieces. I like Jamar Chase, Burrow, Neighbors, Fannin,
wait,
DK. Like I'm pretty good at
you have Chase, Neighbors, and Burrow?
yeah, Chase, Neighbors, Burrow, Watson, Fannin, DK, Likely, Bryce Young, Jaden Higgins. So like if I took
So,
Price
for me, I'm
at
going
5 overall,
I'm going Tate, Tyson, Price.
yeah,
You have
and
too
then
many
I have the
receivers.
7th. Yeah.
You have too many receivers. That's my issue is you have too many receivers. What other you have other first rounders too, or
I have the 8th
okay?
overall pick. So I had the 1, 3, 4, 5, 8, and then the 201, 203, 204.
Yeah, to me, you take Price and then go from there. You take those two because then you already have two studs to add to two other studs, or two rookies to add to two studs. You don't have enough. There's not enough spots to start everyone. Go with the
Yeah.
running back. Like this to me is
All right.
trade if you can, but move on. And to me, Lemon is last. But we've discussed that. If you like Lemon first, let Tyson fall. But I'm not doing that. But that's I would take Tate and Tyson, and then Price.
Yeah, I took Tate, Tyson, and Price.
There you go. And
And
hey,
then
at
the
108,
guy.
who knows what happens?
Yeah.
So
All right. Who are your 3 QBs?
that no one's talking about. One of the biggest ones that I want to start with is a high guy. So I tried to do a pretty high rookie draft, like initial startup draft guy, a mid guy, and a later round guy. And so my high guy right now is Jaden Daniels. I feel people are forgetting about him. People don't talk about him much. He was the 101 in a lot of leagues last year, and now he's fallen. I was just in a startup. He fell to like the 205 in a
Wow.
startup, and it's sad, but it's also I think people, you know, perception of what happened last year is fresh on people's minds, and he did not help anyone win ever. So because of that, he's got a little bit of deflation going on, and could he immediately regress back up to a top 3 guy? And the answer is probably yes. And so Jaden Daniels isn't getting talked about. I understand why, but I think we should talk about him as still a top asset, still very young or pretty young. I know he came out after 8 years in college, but like still pretty young and still mobile. And so with that, there's enough mobility, enough things going on in that team to be excited about Jaden Daniels moving forward.
Yeah, and he's currently the QB4 on Keep Trade Cut behind Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Josh Allen.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I'm just saying in drafts, a lot of people are taking one or two other guys. Like certain drafts I've seen Dart go
Like,
ahead of them. There's
whew,
there are quarterbacks going ahead. And it's just it may feel weird, seem weird, but it's happening. My
yeah,
second
once they get on the field, I think everyone's going to go, "Oh yeah, I forgot."
well and right, which is why we should probably talk about him more. But if you got him, I would not be selling low. Best of your
No,
ability.
no.
The
I
next
have a
one,
team.
yeah,
I've got a team. I am terrified at QB. I have Jackson, Daniels, and Dak. All 3 have had horrible stints with injury. Like either it's like the best season ever, or I'm fucked for the year.
but you have 3 of them. I mean, but that's how you have to ride. How many? Go look at the other teams in your league. A lot of teams, as
Oh
much as
yeah,
you might have 3, they do not have 3 quarterbacks. It's just not
no.
what there's no team I ever really look at that's like, oh, they got three that they can rely on. I would be happy with that.
Yeah.
So the next quarterback I have, number two for me, is kind of a middle tier guy. He's actually going a little earlier, but I think he's ranked deep trade cut, I think around 10, and that's Trevor Lawrence.
He's QB 11. So
11.
yeah.
Okay. And that's Trevor Lawrence. People aren't talking about him. I think one of the biggest things Gus and I actually were discussing before we started the show that people don't realize is he had 9 rushing touchdowns. So
Mhm.
I don't know if that's going to stick. So yes, there may be some regression there, but second year in the Liam Cohen offense is a positive. Same coordinator, same coach. The O line's pretty good, more weapons that he got to play with at the end of last
Travis
year.
Hunter.
Yeah, exactly.
Travis Hunter is gonna be a top 12
But
guy. So like
but knowing the system, remember
crazy.
he started slow last year. It was really the last second half where he kind of put it on. So in that vein, I'm excited about Trevor Lawrence. I think he at QB 11 is probably properly ranked, but no one's really talking about him just because he had a good year, 9 rushing touchdowns. People are a little scared. What are your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence? Do you think he stays there? Because I've heard a lot of podcasts think he's a regression candidate.
I mean, if you look at it, with the 9 scores on the ground, who is their goal line back? They've got a bunch of scat back guys. They got guys that you wouldn't expect to be involved around the goal line. And Trevor Lawrence is what, 6'6", 230-ish. He's a big guy, and they showed that they want to use him around the goal line this past year. It's the same offense. Now you take away ETN. You're looking at it like, who's going to get carries on the goal? I'm not saying that Lawrence is going to have a bunch on the ground like more like a Hurts, but he's probably going to be in that 5 to 10 range. And for fantasy, that's a huge bump. And he had, I think it was just under 4,000 passing yards, like 3,900 something. He had 29 passing touchdowns. He had 9 on the ground. I think he had like 12 picks. So if the picks come down a little bit, there's probably going to be more passing in that offense because they got rid of Travis Etienne. So this offense is still a very good offense, and I want pieces of a very good offense. And who better than to be the one that is throwing the ball to all these pass guys catching options, because they have four wide receivers that are all going to be involved for fantasy. They have a tight end that is probably going to be a top 12 tight end in for fantasy, and then you have backs that can catch the ball. So you have guys that are pretty much all suited to catch the ball in an offense where a QB just had a damn good season. I don't see him taking a step back. If anything, I see him taking a step forward, maybe hitting 4,500 yards and crossing that 4,000 yard threshold, probably throwing north of 30 touchdowns, 30 to 35, and staying in that 5 to 10 on the ground range. So he's going to be a top 12 tight end for fantasy, probably top 6. And I've seen people have him ranked like QB 3, 4 this season, QB 4 for the season, QB 5. So he is someone that for redraft is being thought of highly, but in dynasty, there's still that ick of the past few seasons. So no one has really bought in, fully to him. I mean, he is definitely a top 12 tight end for dynasty. I would probably say top 10. So in that 8 to 10 range is probably where I would have him, just because I believe he's going to continue to take a step forward.
Okay.
So
Which is great. I'm happy we're talking about him because he's definitely a forgotten man. And then my third quarterback is another guy that people aren't talking about at all. They're at least I'm not hearing it, and it's Jared Goff. He is the starting quarterback on a pretty good O line with a lot of awesome weapons.
oh yeah,
Gibbs is there. We got Amon Ra. We got Laporta. We got Tesla. We got Jamison Williams. Do I need to see more? And the idea we aren't talking about him is purely because he has 0 rushing upside. And he does have some
and he's
down
old.
games, which we know. But to me, he needs to be discussed as just a solid QB2. In Superflex, you could plug him in and be happy with what you're getting. And in some ways, he can counteract if one of the guys you're going against has an Amon Ra or a Jameson Williams, etc.
Yeah, he's currently QB 22 on keep trade cut. So if like you can start your start of draft with like, I don't know, go uh Trevor Lawrence in the second or third. He's probably going more
Third.
in the third round or right now. So if you can go him in the third and then Goff in like the seventh,
Uh,
eighth round,
Sixth or seventh is where's Goff going. But yeah, think about that. Then you have those two, which are solid
and then
with some upside, and
and
then you
then
have
you
so
could
much studs
go,
at the other position.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could start your draft going wide receiver, tight end, wide receiver, receiver. You can go back, however you want to build it, and grab two later QBs, which in most of our leagues is 6 point passing, where Goff is going to have the
Right.
most value because he's going to throw 30 plus touchdowns. He is one of the most consistent QBs in the league year over year. That's going to put up a bunch of yards and touchdowns and nobody cares because he's above 30 and he doesn't run the football. But for Dynasty, he's only 30, 31. He's about to be 32 this year. So he's probably got another 3, 4 years left in him playing. So for
Yeah.
someone that you can get that late in drafts and be your QB2 that's going to put up QB1 numbers, it's great.
No, I'm with you. I'm excited.
All right. How about some backs? Um,
Sounds good. You going first?
Yeah, I'll go first. And you put all your names in the doc before I did, so I've got most of the scraps. So uh we're gonna have to scroll quite a ways to get to my guys. Let me see if I can find them. First one I want to talk about is J.K. Dobbins. Didn't he sign like a no, it was a 2 year deal to come back to the Broncos? And I'm not someone that believes a lot in RJ Harvey. I like Coleman, but I don't think, with Sean Payton, he's already shown that he doesn't want a first year back being, much involved. Harvey was involved, but it took an injury to Dobbins for him to really start doing anything for fantasy, really. And you're still not even, like Dobbins is going behind Harvey and Coleman as far as on keep cut. Dobbins is down at RB 36. RJ Harvey's at 27 and Coleman is at 34. So both of those backs that are the backup to Dobbins, who's going to be the starter, are going higher than him. Yes, they are both younger, and Dobbins has a history of being hurt, but he is paid to be there for the next 2 years, and I think he's going to get a majority of the work on the ground and at the goal line for this team that most people consider to be a top 15 offense. So he's going to probably be around 10 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, and it's someone that you can get very, very late in drafts, and he's fairly cheap. Like you could probably send a second for next year and get him. I'm not saying that that's what you need to pay, but you can have him as a throw in a deal. And everyone knows that backs are very hard to come by in Dynasty. Good ones that are going to be starters for you every week. Every week that J.K. Dobbins is going to be on the field, he's going to be a top option for your team, and he can probably be your RB 3 or 4. So for as late as he's going, he's 27 years old, so he's there for the next 2 years. He'll be 29 when that contract is over. But to get a back for the next 2 years on a high powered offense that is the starter for this late, I mean, he is not even considered a starting back, considered to keep trade cut as far as like all the backs that go ahead of him. He is the 36th back. So there's 35 other guys that you would rather have on your team. I just don't know if that's right. So
Yeah. I mean, I've never been the biggest Dobbins guy, but you're right. I think they brought him back because they knew what they could do. I've always been higher on RJ Harvey than a lot of people. I still think Harvey is fine. But this reminds me of what they had with Mark Ingram and Kamara. Harvey may not be Kamara, true, but
probably not.
I also think he can spell Dobbins a lot, and Dobbins is a lot like Mark Ingram. You know, he has some injuries, some issues. Is a thumper, is not as quick or explosive as Harvey. I think we'd agree on that, but is probably better between the
At this
tackles.
point, yeah.
And so the injuries are the biggest worry with him. But otherwise, he's a steal. He is. He really is. He could be great this year, maybe next year. It's not if, it's when he's going to get injured. That's the problem with him.
Yeah. That's fair. My second back is David Montgomery. He did get traded to the Texans this offseason. The Texans, I I wasn't the biggest fan of what I saw from why am I blanking on the other guy's
Woody
name all of a
Marks.
sudden? Marks, yep. He was all alone, all by himself. I think David Montgomery is a much better back, even at this point in his career. Montgomery is currently RB 28. He'll be 29 when the season starts. He I think he's going to be better than what people expect. Yes, he is older, but you have older guys going much higher. If you look at, you have Swift that's going higher. That's around the same age. Josh Jacobs. I'm not saying David Montgomery is Josh Jacobs, but he is the between the tackles runner that can catch the ball just like Jacobs. Uh, the offense is probably not as high powered as the Packers, hopefully, but
Yeah.
he is. I really think that he's going to be the bell cow for this team, and it's really going to be Marks is going to be a spell every now and then. I don't think Marks is going to eat too much into Montgomery. I see it as probably like a 70-30 split, and if that's the case, David Montgomery being your RB 3 or 4, that's a great ad. Yes, he is older. I wouldn't expect much value over the next 2 to 3 years, but for this upcoming season, he's someone that when you're trying to find a starter in Dynasty to get someone like him as cheaply as he is right now, you're not gonna be able to get him for this cheap once the season starts and games start being played. And you go, oh shit, I've got to have a back in my lineup. Like your RB 2 is RJ Harvey, and he comes out and gets 20% of the snaps in week 1, and you're sitting there going, oh fuck, if you have someone like David Montgomery on your team, he's someone that I would play over Harvey. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I think you would and you should, at least to start the season. I like Montgomery. No one's really talking about him. It's quiet. They quietly improved their offensive line, especially in
Yep.
the inside. The tackles are still a little questionable, but they did make some improvements. They worked on it. They drafted it. They're trying to improve, realizing that's their weakness. One of the other things that is an old school thought, but I actually still think a defensive minded head coach thinks about is let's grind out the game and let our defense win it. And as much as Stroud has taken a step back, I still think the offense will be better. I think Stroud will look better. They have the weapons outside. The O line's getting better, which means they're not going to be able to stack a box, against Montgomery. As much as I think people might have worried about that, I don't think they will or they can. And so with that idea, I'm with you. I think Montgomery's a nice piece. My biggest thing is I don't think he is long term. It is a 1 year thing for him.
Yeah.
Whatever the deal says, the deal says. But to me, it is about this year. He will be 29 when the season starts. And, for a running back with definitely some miles with multiple teams, it wears on you. I mean, we saw Jamal Williams was great with them in this Montgomery role, and then 2 years later was out the league. And so the real question, can he survive this year and then produce next year as well? I don't know, but hopefully this year is good for him.
Who gave Jamal Williams a contract
Yeah.
after he was with
The
the Lions?
shitty, dumb team called the Saints. Yeah,
But
100%.
David Montgomery was a great player before he got to the Lions, and then he kind of got overshadowed by Gibbs. So I get why they moved on, but I've always been a fan of Montgomery, even when he was a Bear. For all the people that say that I hate all Bears players, it's not true. I loved David Montgomery when he was there as a Bear. And I think for him to get a shot to be the starting back again, I think will remind some people how good he was. So,
I
and Marks, yes, they wanted to run the ball a lot, but Marks was, I don't think he was very efficient. I don't think he looked as good as what David Montgomery can look this season with the Texans. I think it's going to be a pretty easy 70-30 split between those two guys.
I think it's to be closer to like 60-40, but it still is Montgomery on the lead.
Yeah. All right. My third back, I'm going to go with a combo. It's the two Steelers backs, Warren and Dowdle. Uh, Whoever is the QB, they are either going to have to lean on the run or they're going to have to pass to the backs. I think passing will probably lean towards Warren. Dowdle can still catch the ball, but the in between the tackle guy, I really think is going to be Dowdle once they get on the goal line. I could see both these backs being good for fantasy. I would not want them to be my one or two, but if they're like my 3, 4, and 5, like great. Like to having those guys that you could probably even flex from week to week. Because once we get into the season, I think a lot of people forget, years past with backs, how hurt they get. This past year, nobody really got hurt. You had Jacobs that missed time and like maybe one or two others, but for the most part, all the top guys stayed healthy. And once you get into week 7, 8, 9, 10, and those injuries start to pile up and you're staring down, oh shit, I've got to start Chuba Hubbard and Dowdle. Like those two guys can get it done for fantasy for your team if you lose one of those top guys. We don't know who the QB is going to be, and that's going to be important because if it's Rodgers, you'll probably see Warren get a bunch of targets, and so will Dowdle. But I would give the nod to Warren as far as the targets in the passing game. But they are going to have to lean on a run game, whoever the QB is. If it's Drew Aller, if it's Will Howard, if it's Rodgers, I don't think Rodgers is going to come in and have a 4,030 touchdown season like he has in years past. He's going to have to lean on the ground game and then the quick game with the wide receivers and Pittman. That works great in the short area of the field. They just drafted Bernard. That's probably going to be their slot guy. And when they want to take shots, it'll be to DK. But a lot of that offense is going to be started on the ground with those two backs, and they're going to be heavily involved for fantasy.
Yeah, no, I mean,
And,
it's weird,
and they're
right?
cheap.
You get out of the Arthur Smith system, and now these guys kind of feel like values. And that's the biggest part about them. No one's talking about them. They're not sexy names. They're not exciting. They're
Nope.
splitting time. Is Rodgers coming? It's all about the QB and the wide receivers they brought in. But I agree. They're going to want to run the ball. The defense is aging. So they're going to want to rest some of those guys a little bit. And they're going to use the Steelers' way of winning games. I know Tomlin isn't there, but they still going to have to rely on the defense to win a lot of their games, get some pass rush. And with that, I think Warren and Rico Dowdle are fine. The thing is, each week, until one of them misses a week, it's going to be hard to trust. And so could it be a okay fourth, fourth running back, third running back / bye week replacement / second flex? Yeah, that's fine, but it's not too exciting. That's the only problem. And
No.
as soon as and if one of them gets hurt, then the other jumps up and is now immediately running back 2, in my opinion. So it's kind of, if you get
Yeah.
both, you're not hoping, but you're hoping one has a hamstring injury the first 4 weeks and then the next gets the hamstring injury. So it's not a serious injury, but they come back and ready to play. But you're right. No one's talking about it.
All right. Who are your backs? Your top end guys that
Yeah.
were taken before I put my names in
Well,
the
I
fucking
went with
dot.
a top guy, a mid-level, and a low guy. And my top guy that no one's talking about is James Cook, about how good he was, how much he helped fantasy teams. I mean, I think he was running back 1 after the first, 5, 6 weeks, right? It was something like that, or running back 2. He was crushing it. He was doing very well. And now people have kind of forgotten about it, how much that team loved to run the ball. I think they'll probably try and do it again. It worked last year in winning some games. And so the idea that James Cook is getting forgotten, I think if people had him, they haven't forgotten, but I think the rest of the community has stopped talking about him as much. What do you think, Gus?
Yeah, James Cook. I mean, where's he going in startups? Like 4th round,
So
somewhere in that range.
I'm The answer is yes, except I was in 2 and someone took him at the 206. Don't ask. I was like, "What are you doing?" Like, we're not
That was probably Cook.
himself
That
is probably
that
like, that's
yeah.
he's probably in the league with me. You're right. It's just hope he doesn't get busted gambling.
Yeah,
So
so he's currently RB8 on Trey Cut behind JT, Hampton, HN. I think that's a fairly good spot for him. I would probably, just based off of age and contract, maybe take James Cook over JT, also mixed with the QB, uh, unknown with the Colts, and how much of this offense is going to run through James Cook. He's going to be heavily involved again. They paid him, and he said, "All right, you paid me. Let's fucking go to work." Nobody expected him to have the season that he did this past year. Everyone was expecting him to score less touchdowns, and he came out and scored touchdowns again. So everyone was calling for him to score less, and he's like, "All right, bet." But who did they add this offseason outside of D- DJ Moore? And how much do people really think that DJ Moore is going to come into this offense and be a wide receiver one? I think it's still going to be Josh Allen is still going to spread the ball around. Shakir, Moore, Cook, Dalton Kincaid, and the ground game is going to go through Cook. For Dynasty, he's 26.6 years old, so he'll be 27 this year with another 2 years on his contract. So he's someone that he's one of those top end guys that don't get talked about much because people expect him to be a top end guy, and he's done it now for 2 years in a row, and he's got the contract. And there's some flashier names like Judkins, Kenneth Walker. You got Hampton and HN, but he's still going to be up there with those guys, and you can get him later in like the fourth round, third round.
no, I agree. I'm looking at startups. One dude took him at the 210, and then the other one is a 0.25 point per carry, and he went at the 305, which makes sense. So let's typically not those crazy running back leagues or just one guy that went off the chain. He's a fourth rounder, but he's forgotten about. And so I had to put him on this list because I was just looking at it and it's like, man, no one is like people just aren't talking about him. Right. So
Yeah.
it was definitely an area I wanted to bring up and discuss because he's going much, much, much later uh in discussions than he should be. You're right.
Yeah.
KT has 8. I think people that had him remember him, but needed to bring it up. My next running back is it's a homer pick. Got my Saints shirt on today. It's Travis Etienne. I feel ever since he got signed, and then the next day, 2 days later, that the Kansas City running back got taken. Of course, I forget his name right now. Kenneth Walker, excuse me. When
Kenneth
Kenneth Walker
Walker.
got
Yeah.
signed, like literally 2 days later, I think, I just feel his value or his people stopped talking about him. They were excited about it. They're like, it's a good spot, good offense. Now, if you listen when people are discussing the Saints, it's all about Tyler Shuck and his advancement and Jordan Tyson. And he's the forgotten piece. I agree. I think this year for fantasy, it could be a little bit of a letdown. And the main reason is Kamara's not going anywhere and he's getting too much guaranteed just to get cut. So
Yeah.
with that, he will be used, but so will Travis Etienne. And he might not be the bell cow, but if the offense is better, like I just talked about with the Jets, he's still going to score and he's still going to get good opportunities and still going to be a viable back half running back 2 with upside. So what are your thoughts on Travis Etienne, especially because people aren't talking about him?
Yeah, he's currently RB22 on
Right.
Keep Red Cut, so he's a back end RB2, which I think is fair. He's going to be involved in the passing game, but you're looking at it, okay, how much is Alvin Kamara going to be involved? So what is the split going to be, and how much is each one going to be involved in which area of the field? And at the goal line, you're looking at it, is it Alvin Kamara? Is it HN? So I do think currently right now, Travis Etienne is the better back over Alvin Kamara because he's so old. He didn't look great this past year. He dealt with injuries just like he has for the past 4 years now at this point. So your hope, not I wouldn't say hope on an injury, but you're hoping that Alvin Kamara is not involved as much as he is. He's going to be maybe a 30 to 40% snap guy, and you're hoping that Achan is the starter for the Saints. They paid him to be that way. Um, so it's all going to be about the split. But when you look at backfields where you just don't know, there's value in those backfields, and I'm going to bet on the guy that's younger and currently is more talented than the other guy. And probably in redraft, Achan's probably going to go probably 4 or 5 rounds higher than Kamara, and I think that's probably fair. But Alvin Kamara has not played a full season in quite some time, and if he goes down or misses any time, Achan is going to be the bell cow for that team.
Yeah, agreed. Thought I should bring him up. And then my third forgotten about or not talked about running back is DeAndre Swift. I think he performed last year. They liked what he did. He's only 27 years old, so he's not super old yet. And the reason I bring that up is everyone's talking about the passing game and what's going to happen. But we saw how much that offense liked to run the ball and use the running back out of the backfield. And yes, Colston Loveland and Roma Dunze-ish and Luther Burden are all hyped up steam. We can't forget the running back that they like to use, especially in passing downs. Kyle Mononga is getting hyped up. I still think Swift has a spot in this offense that the head coach liked to use and knows how to use. And so with that, I don't see why it would change. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, they are currently back to back on keep trade cut. Which one do you think is higher?
Who, Swift and Mononga? My quick guess is Mononga.
Yep, he's at 25 and Swift is at 26. Granted, both are going to be involved. It's a good offense. They're going to score a lot of points. They're both going to be used. It's probably going to be some variation of a 60-40, 50-50 split. But Swift is going to be more involved in the passing game, and that offense has a lot of weapons that can go downfield. So you're looking at who's going to be underneath. It's probably going to be Swift a lot on screens, on checkdowns from Caleb, even though when he rolls out, he wants to chug it deep. He's still going to be heavily involved, at least for one more year. I believe this is the final year of his contract. So he's one of those guys that I was talking about, like a David Montgomery, a J.K. Dobbins, Warren Dowdle, but he is more talented than those players. And he's on what most would think is a better offense than those players. So Swift is someone that is talented, that is going to be involved, but is going super late. He's fairly cheap. It's very hard once the season starts to get backs for, second and third round picks because they are scoring points. They're on the field. Everyone needs them. Unless you are a team that's trying to play for next year, which I wouldn't trade them right now. I would wait until the season starts and you can get a second plus for them.
Yeah, unless you're the one going for it, and I think he could help your team. Like, I think he's a very
Yeah.
solid running back too. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I just think Ben Johnson likes what's going on with the team. Why change it? They saw the progression
Right.
everyone made. They got rid of one of the, I guess, kind of diva wide receivers, and now they have reduced the roles of the others. So it's going to be perfect.
Yeah. Wide receivers. You made a trade this morning, sending away QJ for 2/3. And Miles had sent me that trade in 2 of the leagues, and I told him to go fuck himself. So I was shocked when I saw you trade QJ for 2 27/3. And the reason was, and what I said with Miles, and he had agreed that was the same thought process is, QJ is going to be on the field basically every play. He's someone that is going to be the deep threat. He was balling out to start the season until the tackles got hurt and Herbert couldn't go deep anymore because he didn't have time. That offensive line is better. Everyone is going to be back and healthy. I think QJ could be a sneaky wide receiver 2 this year overall. Not overall 2, but a wide receiver 2. And for someone that you can get for 2/3 now, I think is absolutely crazy. I told him I'll take a first for the next year, and he laughed. And I don't expect a first. I don't, but I would want a second, 2 seconds, a second,
Wow.
and a third, because I do think that he is going to have a good run again this season. And if I was going to trade him, I would wait until he shows what he was doing at the start of last year when he was absolutely balling out. If they don't get Keenan Allen back, he's going to have more time on the field. That offense is one that we all think is going to be great this season. Why would the wide receiver two not be someone that is involved in that thought process? QJ, he's got his fans. He's got people that think he's terrible. Obviously, you think he's terrible if you're going to trade him for 2/3. I didn't look at your team to see what you were doing for the season coming up, whether you were playing for this year or not. But for someone like that, that's going to be in your lineup pretty much every week, I just didn't understand why you traded him for 2/3.
I I don't think he's clearly no one's talking about him. I think they used him, yes, but I still think he has limitations. My biggest issue with guys like QJ is, I mean, we've seen with other players very similar, is I don't know if I can start him every week. He reminds me a lot of like a discount zone Jameson Williams, and that just those are not the players I like. The ones that can give you 2 catches for 12 yards, and then the next week give you 3 catches for 14, and then 3 for 18, and then 6 for 102 and a touchdown. That's great, but I went 1 and 3 those weeks. So that's not the players I'm looking to start. If it's best ball, I completely understand because he's perfect for that role. I just can't trust him. And so for me, I like the 27 class. I when he reached out to me, when Miles reached out, I quickly thought of it. It was like, I don't think you're getting a second for him, at least not a 27 second. So let me see what picks I can get. Let me get 2/3 for next year, which I like the class. And I think it's one of those leagues with like 48 taxi squad players. So the more picks I have,
You
the
can't
more
have
opportunity
48.
I have. And a lot of these teams were orphans. So I took them on, and most of those orphans only had like 6 taxi squad guys. So I'm always looking to add some depth in those leagues. Hey, I could be wrong. He could come out firing, swinging, helping people win leagues. And there's an easy argument that it could happen. I'm just not that guy.
Yeah. To start the season last year, his first full 4 games, 25, 18, 15, 23. And then week 5 was 7, and then bye week, and then 11, then 0. So I think their tackles were both gone by week five or 6. It was somewhere in that range when they lost their tackles. So when Herbert had time to throw the ball deep, QJ was just on fire. He was getting 7 targets, 7, 10, 13 targets. Like that's someone that you want to trade away for 2/3. I get that you love the class next year. That's their third round picks. Both of them more than likely are going to be absolutely nothing.
I appreciate the way I play fantasy, and
I'm
I
just
hope you do too.
I'm just saying, like, so when he sent that, I just laughed at him. I was like, no. And then after I saw you accept the trade, I was like, what the fuck am I missing? Did they trade for AJ Brown or something? Did I miss that? What happened? But
So you have
I
him
get
as like a
it.
top 30 wide receiver?
I I think that's pretty easy. I mean,
You have him or Golden higher?
I would say Golden, just
What?
because.
And Golden's not a top 50 receiver. Okay. You see, this is
Yeah.
your crazy ideas, but I love it. But I also understand if you are a QJ believer and have held him and saw the first 4 weeks, I get it. I just don't think necessarily the offense is going to run the same way.
Yeah, but you could wait till he has like a 2 or 3 week stretch where he's scoring 15 plus points and get a second round pick for him. So
I could have.
at the
I didn't.
very
I made my
minimum,
move for a receiver. What if he starts out 2 points, 4 points, 2 points? You're not getting
then
2/3 for him.
both tackles got hurt. then fucking both tackles got hurt.
I don't think so. What if I said Ladd is averaging 80 and a touchdown, and now Njoku and a Gadsden are averaging 50 yards each, and both have a touchdown or 2, and Marion Hampton's rushing 80 yards and a touchdown every game. Like
Who's their
that's
offensive coordinator?
McDaniel.
Okay.
What? You think
Just
McDaniel
checking.
only wants to throw deep?
He likes to, and Cuge fits perfectly into that. But I get it. I was just shocked that he went for 2/3. I don't think he's going to go for 2/3 anywhere else besides you.
Hey,
Um,
maybe it's me. Maybe
Let
I'm
me see
too high up.
where he is in keep trade cut value.
I didn't even look. I didn't even care.
I'm sure you didn't. Da, da, da. I'm getting a bit nervous that I haven't found him yet. Okay. He is wide receiver 50. Golden is actually higher. Golden is wide receiver 34 right now.
Wait, so wide receiver 50, 2/3 is probably an even deal.
I mean, right in front of him is Xavier Worthy, Pittman, Adams. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next guy, someone that we've talked about a bit already, Jacoby Myers. The stretch run that he had last year after he got the contract and everything. I just think that there's a pretty good chance that he could end up being the wide receiver one for this team, and no one is talking about him. I know that I've talked to a couple guys about him, and then immediately saw them go trade for him for like a third or a second round pick. They gave him the contract, and I think he could easily end up being the top target for Trevor Lawrence. Yes, there are other names there that are more flashy, like PTJ and Hunter. But he's someone that is reliable and a good NFL receiver that got paid. He's someone that I really think could be a sneaky ad for this upcoming season. I do not see him in the top 50 for wide receivers, which is wild.
Yeah,
Parker Washington
he's just
is
older.
wide receiver
He got the
42.
contract, but he's older. That's the problem with Myers. But I agree. I think he was solid. They paid him. They liked what when he came over, they liked what they saw and they liked what he was able to do with the team. Um, the real question is either wide receiver 2 or 3.
DJ Moore is higher than him. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
He's with Josh Allen. Part of the reason I made the
Jacoby
trade
Myers.
Part of the reason I made the trade,
Jacoby
I feel
Myers.
there are 40 receivers kind of in this range. And should I buy asked for a second? Yes, but I didn't think I can get a second. But maybe I should have. Maybe I just responded with, "Hey, I need your second or a playoff team second," and done that instead. But I didn't.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that he said he would have paid a second in one of the leagues where he offered me the 2/3 for him, but he already had Lad, so he didn't want to invest too much in that wide receiver core. So you probably could have gotten a second out of him.
Yeah,
But Myers is wide receiver 55. Funny enough, Hunter is at 51.
nice.
So Hunter is higher than Myers. So due to that, what you will. Somehow Parker is higher than both of them. He's at wide receiver 42. And then BTJ was at wide receiver 24. Did I see?
That
Yeah,
sounds about
he's at
right.
wide receiver 24. So Myers is fourth in what people are perceiving as the value, and I could see him being the one for the team this year.
He's just 29. Is he almost? Is he 30 or 29?
Yeah, but he's like a Devonte Adams on how he wins. Like he's not like the speed guy. He's not the big strong guy. He wins with route running and catching. Myers is 29 and a half, so he'll be 30 this year. But I see him like in
In
the same
November.
light as yeah, as like a Devonte Adams, how he wins. He wins with routes and catching and being in the right spot. So for PPR, like he's going to get targets a lot, like a Devonte Adams. I'm not saying he's as good as Devonte Adams, but he wins the same way. He's not like the BTJ or the Travis Hunter or the Parker Washington that wins with speed and just overall being a better athlete than the guy in front of him. So for PPR, I think he's going to be great this year, and I've seen people trade for him immediately after I talked to them about someone that's a sneaky ad. So
No, I think that's fair. I think he's fine. What would you give him a second for him?
If he was going to be my wide receiver 3 or 4, then probably I would probably try to start with like a 2 3 swap if I could.
Okay. So I did 2 threes for a guy rated right around him, which is shit, but you're not going to give up a 2 3 swap for this guy. No, that's fine.
Well, because QJ is what, like 24 years old, so you got 5 years on him,
Still rated
and
50 in Dynasty. You can't, when it's rated there in Dynasty, it's the same shit.
he would probably be like around 34 for me, like 30 to 35 ish range.
Right
If I were to
behind
do my
Golden. Got it. No, it's good to know.
yep,
Um,
right behind Golden.
yeah. Are you done yet? Who's your next receiver?
I've got one more, you impatient asshole. Someone that I don't think I've seen a lot of people talk about is Josh Downs. Someone that I liked when he came to the league. Yes, he was tiny. I totally get it, but his routes and his hands were something that you couldn't just not see. And now they trade away Pittman, who worked in the same area of the field as Josh Downs. A lot of it ties to who is the QB to start the season, but Josh Downs is going to command a lot of volume over the middle of the field, short areas with Warren. It's going to be him and Warren in that area of the field with Pierce deep. And if Dimes, has to transition more of a pocket guy, then he's going to have to get the ball out quicker, and he's going to look for those short yards and not take every single shot downfield that he can. So Josh Downs, you could probably get him for a second round pick. I think he's going to. I would rather have him over Myers just because of how many options there are in those two offenses, and Downs is obviously a lot younger. With the trading of Pittman and then the contract of Pierce, I think that shows that they have confidence in what they have in Downs to be able to still run the offense that they want to run. Like him and Pittman are not the same size of player by any means. Pittman is like probably close to a foot taller than him, probably 8 to 10 inches taller than him. But the way that Downs wins, I think he's going to be a friend of Danny Dimes when he's trying to be more of a pocket passer to at least start the season when he's not going to be as mobile. I believe Downs has one more year on his contract. I don't think this is his final year. I think he's pretty far down in rankings too. He's
So
out.
of all the guys we've discussed, this is the one I disagree with you most on. And the reason is
Okay.
I agree with all your points. He is the most talked about receiver right now in all podcasts across anything you listen to. I think everyone's hyping him up. He's the next guy. Oh my God, the opportunity. We talked about him last podcast. The idea that he's not talked about is false. So
I don't see him being talked about in leagues. I don't see him being traded. Yes, like
he is literally the
other
most
podcasts,
traded
sure.
person in Dynasty over
I
the
haven't
last
seen
7 days.
I have not seen it.
Anyway, I agree with you. He's got the opportunity.
He's wide receiver 39.
There you go. He's got the opportunity. It's there. But people are hyping him. I'm on a bet he gets above Golden, way above QJ very soon. Like he's a guy because of the hype. I bet you can kind of see trades, and I can go look at it for the next podcast of like a 27 second or Downs. And I think a lot of those are happening.
Okay. I guess I just haven't seen it. I've seen people talk about him, but like it's been like hush hush almost. But I guess you probably listen to different podcasts. But here we are. I think he's someone that could gain a lot of value this year just based off the amount of targets that he gets, like a Wandale type season. I don't think he's going to get 140 some targets, but I think he's going to be in that 1 to 120 range.
Yeah, I think it'd be fine. No, I'm excited about him too. I don't know if the touchdowns are going to be there, but I'm excited about the opportunity. He's very similar to Khalil Shakur to me. So whether you like it or not, that's kind of a comparison I have.
Makai Lemon went at 106. I have the 108. By the way, this is a 10-man league. So that 201, 203, 204, 205, like they're like, yeah.
Which makes Price even more valuable to me because that means you get a lot of those wide receivers in the second round. Like,
Yeah, so I have queued up KC and Sadiq. Whoever he doesn't take, that's who I take next. So,
and then, I mean, what QBs do you need? Any or no?
I have Burrow and Bryce Young, and that is it.
I'm,
But I'm gonna try to get Ty Simpson at the 201. I
yeah,
think he may make it because it's a 10 man league. People aren't
yeah,
crazy over QBs, but
right. No, I agree.
all right,
All right, you ready to get
all
back
right.
into it?
Yep, your wide receivers.
All right. So my wide receivers, like I said, I did it again where I had a top guy, a middle guy, and a late guy. My top guy is CD Lamb. I just feel no one's talking about him. It's all about George Pickens, and that's it. No one's talking about this team much. They're talking about, can the defense be better? Yeah, the defense will be better, but it's still not good. So to me, CD could easily, with Pickens taking some heat off of him, which when CD was the only target, he was wide receiver one. But if Pickens takes some of that heat off, I still think he could have the upside of the number one wide receiver overall. And I know a lot of people may not believe that, but I think the target share could be there. This team's going to have to score points still. And as much as I love Jake Ferguson and we like Javante Williams, there could be some touchdown regression from Javante. And if that happens, it's going to be a little more passing. And all that does to me is line up CD for more touchdowns. So I don't think anyone's talking about him. I know he still gets drafted highly, but it's just something I wanted to bring it up that I still have full faith into him. What about you?
Yeah, he is the oldest receiver until you get to wide receiver 14. So he's 27.1, and he's wide receiver 7. Above him, you have Cezanne Brown, JJ Neighbors, Puka, Jason, Chase, um, and then behind him, George Pickens is at wide receiver 11. I did not realize, but Carnell Tate is wide receiver 12 right now in Dynasty.
And
He's wide receiver
KCC?
12. On Key Trade Cut, Tate is wide receiver 12, right behind Pickens, in front of Garrett Wilson, Nico, Olave, Rome, Ladd, Rice, Tyson. So
Holy
he's
shit.
already that
Already
that
there.
high. I did not, and Tyson is at 19.
What? Like, okay, I'm speechless. Did not know that one. But we're talking about him a lot. These are guys we're not. So my second wide receiver, that's a
Yep.
middle guy.
Yep.
We already talked about Jacoby Myers for you, but one of the guys that people are curious about, but I still don't think people are talking about, is Brian Thomas. I'm just not hearing it much. His values dropped to a point where I think he's truly a buy. He has the freak athleticism. He scored touchdowns last year, the year before last, and in college, and could be a wide receiver one, should be wide receiver one. Can he get his head out of his fucking ass? That's the question. And I think he can.
Yeah.
And he's in the second year in the system. I think Liam Cohen needs to find a way to pump him back up. They didn't trade him. If they would have traded him, I think his value would have to the moon. But he's still there, which also tells me why I don't think Travis Hunter is going to be relied upon to be a receiver. So in that vein, I think Brian Thomas is not talked about. I think his value should go up, not keep crashing the way it is. And he just needs to get his head right. And if Liam Cohen knows the talent because he got to see it, he needs to use him better and find a way to encourage him and get him hyped up. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So a lot of these buys are, ways that you can see it go right. And Brian Thomas has already been a wide receiver 1 in fantasy, not the top guy, but I think it was like wide receiver like 6 or 5 his first season, like something stupid.
Four? Might have
And
been four.
so yeah, so
It was good.
he has the ceiling to be a wide receiver 1 for fantasy. He's got the skill set. He's in an offense that we all want a piece of. I mean, we've talked about the Jags more than anybody else today. So he is the most talented wide receiver on that team. Can he get back on the same page? His first year, a lot of that was Mac Jones. So we haven't seen it really with Trevor Lawrence. And I think that's where people are kind of backing out of it. He had a bad season, and the season that he did well, it wasn't with who the current starting QB is. It's not with the same coach. So you are looking at it as, you know, can he get back to that form or even just close to it? Like, he doesn't have to be a top 12 guy, but it would be nice in an offense that we think is going to do well. But I can't wait for Hunter to come out and have like 14 targets, 12 catches, 110 yards, and 2 scores in week one. And
And be on everyone's bench. That's the best part.
yeah, probably,
And that's
probably,
the
yeah.
best part, right.
If if you are starting Hunter week one, you've got either the most shallowest fucking team possible, or you've got the biggest balls that
Yeah,
I've
right.
ever seen. It is one of the two. So,
Yep.
but yeah,
So my third receiver is further down, and I'll say the name Ricky Pearsall. No one's talking about him, and I've gotten to the point. Everyone's talking about Deshaun Stribling and how they took, jumped up for value and didn't, don't care. They get their guys, etc. What does this mean for Ricky? And I don't know. It's it's all about staying on the field, but even then, they went and got Mike Evans. So I don't know. I really don't. No one's talking about him. He's still ranked kind of as like wide receiver 30-ish. It feels like he's still young. I don't know what to do with him. I've traded for him. We made a trade together last year, middle of last year, where I got him and I gave up usable pieces because I was, out of the playoffs. I don't know what it means now. I really don't. What are your thoughts?
how how old do you think he is to start the year?
I would have said 24.
He will be 26 to start the season.
So he's an older prospect because he was right. He was
Yeah,
long tooth there. So 26. So I guess he's
yeah,
much older than I expected, but still, it's only his third year in the league, right? What
yeah.
what is it?
A big thing for him is he's been hurt pretty much his
All the
entire
time,
career,
right?
and and can he stay on the field for any amount of time where he can establish something? Uh, he doesn't really work in the same area of the field as Mike Evans. Uh, Dribbling, we don't know yet where he's going to be used. He can play inside and outside. He's currently going at wide receiver 41, smack dab in the middle between Parker and Wandale, which I would prefer Wandale, and then I'd probably go Pearsall and then Parker if I just had to rank those three. But he's still someone that has shown flashes in the past that you see the pathway where it works. He stays on the field. He works the deep middle. He works the shallow routes with no George Kittle probably to start the season. So if he can start the season hot, he's going to jump up. He's going to gain value quickly because he's someone that we all thought that was pretty talented. He just hasn't been able to stay on the field. And so to see a pathway where he can jump in value, those are the kind of players that you need to target at this point of the season is what guys can gain value and get out of the guys that can't gain value that don't fit your team.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I mean, because in some ways, if he stays healthy with no Kittle, could he be a top 15 wide receiver? And the answer is yes. Could he also be hurt with a hamstring injury halfway through game one, and now he has no value for the rest of his career? Yes, and that's the problem, you know.
Yeah.
But no one's talking about him, so I thought we should. And he's one of the guys so questionable to me. I feel he ends up at the top of like the sleeper queue a lot in startups, whether he's number one or top three, and people just keep passing on him because I think they're worried and
Yeah.
scared, which makes sense.
Yeah. All right, we're going to talk about another Jacksonville Jaguar going on to tight ends, and it's Brenton Strange. And just rinse it and repeat everything that we have said. This is an offense that we want. This is an offense that we think is going to be good this year. And he's the starting tight end. He's had flashes in the past. He did well this past year. Let me see where he's currently ranked on Keep Your Cut. Where do you think he is? Just before I even take a look.
I mean, right now, 12.
He's at tight end 16. He's behind Kincaid, Kittle, Jake Ferguson, likely, and Stowers is already tight end 11, by the way.
Stowers is 11. Where's Sadiq? 9?
Tight end 9, and right in the middle of them is Rondé Gadsden. So you'll probably see Sadiq and Stowers back to back fairly soon.
Wow.
Which is fair because I know that people liked Stowers more than so deep. It's just that it's hard to argue with the draft capital. But getting back to Strange, this is an offense that we want pieces in. Yes, there are a lot of options, but more likely someone is going to emerge, and I wouldn't be shocked if Strange is the second or third option for this team at some point over the season. I believe he's on his last year of his deal, and they did draft another tight end, but he was more of a blocking tight end. So he is probably the sole tight end that's going to be catching the vast majority of passes for this offense.
Yeah, I agree. The tight end they took in the second round. Now he's more of a blocker, is everything I keep hearing and reading. But you're right. I mean, ever since the draft, when they took a tight end early, this whole Jacksonville offense, we've literally talked about every position, except running back because people are high on Tootin. So it just shows we're not discussing them. And I think, we made a fair points about it. And I think some people are preparing for and already stating a regression. And I'm not sure if that's there in the second year of Cohen's offense, if that's really going to happen. So
Yeah.
that that's all I need to say there. Who's your next guy?
My next tight end is Isaiah Likely. He was hot and heavy to start the offseason when he signed with the Giants, but the reason I want to talk about him is because they didn't really add a lot in the passing game. We were all expecting them to take a top wide receiver, and they didn't. Yes, they did get Fields later on, but I think Isaiah Likely is easily going to be the second option in this offense as far as the passing game. And yes, he was talked about a lot to start the offseason when he got signed, but I haven't heard much since. And he's someone that if you have held on for this long, we are going into year 5 of Isaiah Likely, and I've got some leagues where I've held him since his first year, just waiting. And John Harbaugh talked him up this past offseason, saying that he's going to be more involved. And I think it's funny that while he was still there, they signed Mark Andrews to a long-term deal, and then immediately once he left, he brought in the guy that he hyped up. So I don't know if he planned on leaving after this season, but he there's a possibility that he had some hand in signing Mark Andrews to a long-term deal, knowing that it would force Isaiah Likely to be a free agent this offseason and not get a contract with the Ravens, and then he signs with the Giants. But this is someone that the head coach knows. We know that they try to throw the ball a lot this past year to Theo Johnson, that for some reason is not a good player, even though he's one of the most athletic freaks at the position. Um, Kind of hoping that's not the case for a tight end that was drafted like that this year. But
Yeah.
um, I think he is easily going to be the starting tight end for this team and the number 2 option. Yes, he is fairly high in dynasty rankings. He's currently tight end 12, which after like tight end, like, 6, 7, 8 range, you're getting into the question marks. So like I would rather have him over Gadsden. I would probably take him over Stowers. Um, Even though I like Stowers, it just depends on what you're playing for. If you're playing for next year, then I'm fine doing that swap and having Stowers with the assumption that he's going to be the starting tight end for the Eagles in the next year. Who, I mean, they love to use tight ends, so especially around the goal line. But I would take likely over Gadsden just because of the. I mean, there was such a small sample size with Gadsden, and then they bring in David Njoku. I think Gadsden's really going to start to fall in these rankings. He'll probably end up around tight end 14, 15, 16 range, closer to Strange. But yeah, Isaiah Likely, I've been waiting for 4 years. Now it's time.
Yeah, I like him. I like the opportunity. There's more and more vibes. As soon as he got signed, people were always talking about him, but you're right. In the last 2 months, it's been quiet. Now all the talk that I'm hearing about the Giants is more on Neighbors. Is he actually ready week 1? And I'm not sure. And if not, likely goes up even more. But
Yeah.
I'm excited to see his true opportunity with more of a passing offense. At least I think it will be than what was with Lamar and that team.
Yeah. All right, my third and final tight end, I'm gonna go with Jawan Johnson for the Saints. I have drafted Delp in so many places this offseason. Just, I mean, me and you have been fighting over him in most of the leagues. Like, how high do you want to take him? Like, I've taken him like the back end of the second. I think I've gone as high as like the mid second. But he's someone that I truly believe next year is going to be great for fantasy. But for this year, you can get Jawan Johnson right now for dirt cheap, almost nothing, and it's on an offense that we believe is still going to be good. Um, they did bring in Tyson, but I think that offense is going to score a lot of points this year, and Jawan Johnson has had an established role in this offense. Yes, he's old as dirt. I wonder where do you think he's ranked?
He's like 18.
Tight end 29. He is left for dead.
What?
Uh,
It's on
he,
sleeper. He's much
he
higher than that, but I get it.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's behind Kate Otten, Kelsey, Mason Taylor is still higher,
Yeah, that one's the
Elijah
problem. I don't understand how
Arroyo,
that is the case. Yeah.
but Taylor has fallen 70 spots in like the past few weeks.
Yeah.
Um, so But Jawan Johnson, he is still going to be on this team this year. He's still going to be involved. He's still
Oh,
going to be
yeah.
a tight end one. The Saints have used multiple tight ends for the past few years, and Jawan Johnson has still been good for this team. So if you need a tight end two for a fourth round pick, like you can definitely get him for dirt cheap.
Yeah, agreed. He's not talked about. He will be the starter. He will be somewhere between the second and third option in the offense. He's going to be a great player to have. And in best ball, he's so late, he could be your third or fourth tight end that might hit your roster, six,
Eight,
seven
nine times.
times. I was going to say 6, 7 times this year, especially in the higher up tight end premium you go, the more often it'll happen. So I'm with
Yeah.
you. I agree. And nobody's talking about him. We are talking about Oscar Delp, and we both love him. And we love some of the other tight ends as well in that area late. And yes, you and I keep fighting over him or some of the other tight ends. And guess what? I think we'll continue because we feel that's the actual value of this class.
Yeah.
Um,
Where's Delp? Where do you think Delp's at?
dude, it hasn't truly updated for startups, but he's got to be like 35 because he's behind Jawan.
He's tight end 62
Yeah, that's you
on
see, that's that
QJ Cut.
dumbass shit. I just think
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
hasn't caught up and people haven't done it. Like that's the
Yeah.
problem. But
He's right in front of Brock Wright.
who?
Yep. He's behind Zach Ertz, Jonnu. He's behind Trigg. He's behind Reardon. He's behind Elijah Higgins, Tommy Trimble, Higby. Jolly is actually tied in 50. So like,
Ooh. Yeah, I think it hasn't caught up. Give it watch in August. If we look at like a startup in August or late August, I could see all these tight ends that we're discussing now just going further and further up, especially in startups. So, and those that
can
are
you do the top
veteran
10
players still love them.
in order? I think it's very, very chalk.
What is?
The top 10 tight ends. It's a very, very
You want me to
chalk.
try and go through
Try
it
it.
quickly since we're talking about
Yeah.
them? So
Yeah.
it's got to be, uh, it should be Bowers, McBride, Loveland, Warren, Fannin, Kraft, Laporta, Pitts, Sadiq,
One more.
and
We just
who
talked about him.
who is 10? Huh.
I told you that someone was smack dab between the middle of the two rookie tight ends that I think is going
Is
to
that
fall out.
is Kincaid there?
Nope. Gasson, you were so close.
Gadsden. Damn.
So
Still.
you
Oh,
went
right. We
9
talked
of
about
10.
him. He hasn't fallen yet, but he will. Right. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tried. I got close. Everything else was right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Anyway,
All right. Go ahead.
moving on to my tight ends, and actually, not surprisingly, Dalton Kincaid is my number one not talked about tight end. I think I had trouble going higher because all the tight ends I kept looking at above him, everyone's talking about. I guess I could have said Laporta, but But other than Laporta, Kincaid, I feel is like an afterthought and forgotten about. Even though, yes, he played less snaps, and yes, he's truly just a big slot receiver, but he still caught touchdowns, and Josh Allen still liked to throw at him. I understand the knee is a serious issue, and it seems like it will continue to be a serious issue, but he's still playing football right now. And we even saw Todd Gurley had what, 4 amazing years and then 2 where he was out the league. But it can happen with these knee injuries where they play for till at least they're 28, 29, maybe 30. And so he's got some time. But it also shows why his ranking's lower. He isn't on there all the time. He isn't a blocker. And the real question, does he get re-signed there, Gus? Do you think he gets re-signed with Josh Allen?
I mean, where do they else have to spend the money on the offense side of the ball? They're not going to resign Coleman. They're not going to. I mean, Shakir has already gotten was it a 3-year deal this past year. I don't think they're going to extend more. More, I think, has like 2 years left on his deal. So, like, where else do they have to spend money?
They need defense. But
Yeah,
so it's nice so they could
that's
put
true.
defense and probably gonna have to redo some of their own linemen or maybe bring one in. But you're right. It's Josh Allen. They're not spending really out wide. I mean, they traded for DJ Moore, which seems like still too much, but like, you know what I'm saying? In that realm, I don't know if they need to add too much more. Does that make sense?
I
Fair?
I wouldn't be shocked if he gets a 2 or 3 year deal. It would probably be a 3-year deal to stay with the Bills. He's going into year 4, so this is about the time. Uh, did they pick up his 5th-year option? Oh, he wasn't a first-round
I
pick,
think
was
it
he?
was in
Yeah,
this.
he was.
No, I thought he snuck in, and I don't know if they did. Look that up while
I'll
I'm
find out.
looking at it.
Dalton Kincaid, draft. He was the 25th overall pick, so yes, he was a first-round pick and 5th-year option.
Was it picked up?
Yes, he did. So he's there for at least this year and
And next year,
next year.
which just wraps in the
So
guarantee. Because that 5th year option means they don't really have to even discuss, and he's probably worth enough. Most of these guys are at least worth the money, you know?
yeah.
So it's like
All right.
easy on
Who's your next guy?
my next
And
guy.
Dalton Kincaid is currently tied in 15 on keep rate cut behind George Kittle and Jake Ferguson.
Really interesting. Okay. I guess he was so hit or miss. It was hard to really wrap your head around. So my
Yeah.
next guy is a guy everyone here knows I've enjoyed and loved, and he helped me win some leagues last year. And who knows, he could still technically be the second option in Seattle, and that's AJ Barner. I know they drafted Elijah Arroyo, and they probably feel they have to use him, but they just won a Super Bowl, so they don't give a shit what people think. Um, when you win, that's all that matters. JSN had an amazing year, but as you saw down the stretch, AJ Barner was the second option with Shaheed being
Touchdowns.
the deep threat. And so I think people aren't really talking about him. They know they won the Super Bowl, but then it's not JSN, the defense. I can't believe Sam Darnold did it. And who's the running back, right? Because Ken Walker carried them through the playoffs. But AJ Barner was the second option and looked pretty athletic and good. And he's still young. So he's a guy I'm excited about. I know Gus and I have discussed it. I have a lot of shares, probably too many. I should probably sell some. But for me, he's a guy I'm excited about. And I haven't been hearing people talk about.
Yeah, I would be happy if he was like my tight end 2 or 3, 4 for my team. 2 is probably pushing it, but if he's my tight end 3 in my team, that's great. It means I don't have to count on him every week. And then once I get into bye weeks and guys that aren't playing due to an injury, he can fill in and be just fine. He scored a bunch of touchdowns this past year. His value has pretty much stayed the same over the past 6 months. He is at tight end 18. So he's behind Hawkinson, Strange, and Kincaid,
Hawkinson,
but in
he's
front
behind
of
Hawkinson. You see, that's the one I can't do. You know, Strange, maybe, maybe not. I would have AJ Barner ahead of all of them. Hawkinson, Strange, and who else did you say?
Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, for
That's
me,
that's where
he's
it gets
ahead.
questionable.
We just saw it last year. Now, Kincaid, it's more than need, but
You could probably trade Kincaid and get more on top of Barner and get the same amount of production.
yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you know how high
Yeah.
I am on him, and I would agree. So let's go to my
All right.
third guy, who is much later. I would love to know the KTC value on this. And it's a guy that I think could be a second option in his offense with a 31 wide receiver on the other side as the number one. And I brought him up. It's Jaden Daniels' top tight end now. It's Chig Okonkwo. I feel they brought in Chig on a 3-year deal. Was it super expensive? No, but they paid him enough to be the tight end. What does it mean? It means to me he's athletic enough. We've seen it with a bad offense. And now he's going to a better quarterback in a better situation where he truly it should be the number two option, if not number one, especially going across the middle and the shorter routes. So Chico Conco is a guy I just don't think anyone's talking about. You can get him real late in drafts, and I think he's a forgotten man that has the upside. I'll say this right here. I think he has the upside to be a top 10 tight end because he's the number two option with Jaden Daniels.
Would you rather have him or Barner?
Barner, but it's very close.
Well, he is tight end 20 right now on Keep Track Cut, so he's 2 spots behind Barner. It goes Barner, Mark Andrews, and then Chig.
Barner, Mark Andrews, Chig. Gotcha. I like all those 18, 19, 20 guys. I will say that way more than like I rather wait, draft other positions and players, and then take those three over guys like Kincaid and some of the like Hawkinson, some of those other questionable guys. I rather take these guys. Like part of it to me, where Stowers goes and where Sadiq goes as rookies, I understand it, but I almost rather wait the 4 or 5 extra rounds and get some of these guys. Get the AJ Barner, the Mark Andrews, especially if you're competing now, and the chick.
Yeah. All right. That is all the players. How about you give us some dad advice, and then we'll get the fuck out of here.
Oh, dad advice. My dad advice is we're my son's 4.5, almost 5, and we're playing T-ball. And the biggest advice is all kids at this age, while they're out there running around having fun, one of the biggest things that I am having to tell folks and convince my wife, but also at this point she understands, is showing up on time to practice and games is very important. It relieves your stress, relieves their stress. All of that is very important. And to do that, they also get more excited. If they're a little early and they're warming up and then they run around as kids, so they get the blood flowing, and then you get them with a glove on and you roll them some balls and, you teach them how to step and throw. All that stuff is so much fun. Enjoy those moments, but also be a little early. I'll never forget, playing football growing up. If you were if you were only 10 minutes early, you were late, no matter what time the meeting was. So try and start with structure early in their sports careers.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys that likes to show up early. My wife, however, is not one of those individuals. I've stopped asking what time are we supposed to get somewhere because I know I'm just gonna get pissed off that we're late. So I'm just there for the ride. Like if we got to be somewhere for a family event, and she says, "Oh, we got to be there by noon," and we show up at like 1:30, like that would just infuriate me. But like now, I, I just don't even ask. But yes, I do believe showing up early is something that you should start early. I have always like being in the military and sports and stuff like that. Like if you are on time, you are fucking late. Like you are gonna get cooked. So
Yep.
like even for work, I show up a half hour early. I don't have to, but I want to just in case shit pops off before I have to start work. So like it's something that I started very early on, with sports, and it's just something that I've done pretty much my whole life at this point. Is because I mean it eats me alive to be late, so much to the point where like I would rather not know what time to show up if I'm not the one that is planning the event. Just so if we are late, I don't know. so
Yep. It's
so
not on
yeah.
me.
Yeah. All right. We do have Dad's 33 that I have gotten set up. I'll probably be posting the invite link in the Discord. It'll be a 12 team, $20 league, super flex, tight end premium. So if you want to get into that league, I'll be posting that link on the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, you can send me a DM on Sleeper. It's just at Dynasty Dads. Um, it's um, they fill up quick. So I'm sure as soon as I post it, it'll be filled up within the next 2-3 hours. So uh, probably even sooner than that. So
Yep.
if you want to get in there, this episode will be posted on Wednesday. I'll probably post a link at the same time that I post the episode. So if you get through the episode as soon as it's posted, it's probably already gone. So hopefully you will you are in the Discord when I post a link, so you can get in. But now that we are through most of our drafts for rookies, we still have like I think like three that are hanging out there. One is a Devy League, and it's just because we're going super slow, going pick by pick. It's 10 rounds, so it's a very long draft. And then a few of the other ones that just got started up because there was someone that went MIA for the past 4 months. So but since we are through those drafts, we will start banging out some of these startups. We'll probably get another 3 or 4 in before the season starts. So if you want to get into one, or if you want to vote on what kind of startup, just join the Discord. There's a poll up. I believe you can still vote on it. And the one with the most votes right now was the $20 startup. So that's the one that we are gonna do. Well, there's best ball, there's high rollers. If we get traction for a Devy League again, then we'll start another Devy League. Also looking to maybe do a 32-man league, just trying to branch out.
Hmm.
We are doing the chopped leagues again this year. We'll probably add on another one or two of those onto the main one that we had from past year. But yeah, if you want to get into leagues, we're going to be starting a bunch here in the next 2 months. So, all right, let's get out of here, Colin.
Sounds good, bud. Always fun, man.
All right, man.
See ya.
Same.